Thank the choir for the hymn they sang this morning. And thank the Prime Minister of Niue for the prayers. Your Royal Highness, the Crown Prince of Tonga, George Putoa Ulukalala, Minister for Foreign Affairs and Minister responsible for His Majesty's Armed Forces. Welcome. Honourable Ministers from across our blue Pacific, the great blue Pacific Ocean. Welcome to our Pacific Island Forum Secretary General, Baron Wanga, Ninitan Bulawanak. Fellow members of the Pacific Island Forum, represented here by heads of missions and senior officials, heads of crop agencies and representatives of our regional security organizations, sisters and brothers from the Pacific security community, academics, and civil society representatives. I'm still trying to understand academics. A different breed of men and women. Very difficult to understand them, but we do as they advise. Nisan Bulawanaka. First of all, I apologize for not wearing our Kalavata or Pulita shirt this morning as Minister for Defense and Veterans Affairs of Fiji. We have to go straight to Parliament or we will incur the wrath of the Speaker, who has had to change our start time this morning from the normal 9:30 to 10:30. Very warm welcome back to everyone from the Pacific security community and beyond who are gathered here in Suva for the second Pacific Regional and National Security Conference. Isang Bulawanaka. The peaceful and prosperous Pacific depends on all of us cooperating and learning from one another. This is why I'm so pleased to have gathered with you in a spirit of friendship and shared purpose to focus this year on the Ocean of Peace concept and to take it further in this discussion. Some of you may remember that I proposed this Ocean of Peace or Zone of Peace at the United Nations General Assembly meeting in 2023. It was after that some of us gathered together with the Prime Minister of Israel. And we spoke about our region as a region of peace. At the end of that, I told him, Prime Minister, your older brother was my hero. But I didn't tell him the next thing I did. But when I went back to the Permanent Representative's office for Fiji at the UN, I called Fiji and told my wife not to get on the Pilgrim's charter flight to go to Israel in October of that year. She asked me why. I said, something will happen on the 7th of October. So do not come. I was back in Fiji on the 7th of October when we had our Republic Day parade in the morning. And in the evening at 5 o'clock, which was 6 o'clock in the morning of Saturday, the 7th of October, war broke out in Gaza. It is good for us to remember history, and to understand the significance of various dates when we talk about security. Let us also remember history. When the Prime Minister of Israel rang me in February this year, he asked, "How did you know?" And I said, "Prime Minister, you should have known. It was the 50th anniversary of the breakout of the Yom Kippur War in 1973. You should have been alerted." I'm so pleased that you have come to talk about security. The timing is critical. I must contest that for now, our region's outlook is more uncertain than at any other time since Fiji became independent in 1970. I believe on Wednesday you will conduct a future series, a future exercise to consider how we can navigate the decade that's ahead of us so that the Pacific is an ocean of peace in 2050. We will talk more about this as we gather in Honiara later, and hopefully when we go back to the United Nations General Assembly later on, we will all be on the same page. What is the end state that we would like to see by 2050? What are the urgent actions we need to take now to realize that future? How can we best prepare for the voyage ahead of us? What are the conditions that we must face together? These are the great questions before us as leaders of the Pacific of today. We are to ensure the Pacific is peaceful and prosperous by the year 2050. We are responsible. We are responsible today for the world that our children and grandchildren will inherit. The Pacific Ocean and Fiji's place in it. But first, let's go back to over 5 centuries ago, on the 15th of November, 1520. Long after the first Pacific Islanders had reached this ocean, Ferdinand Magellan sailed into the Mar del Sur and renamed it Mar Pacifico, the Pacific Ocean, because of its calm waters. Those waters have sustained and linked generations of Pacific people. However, the waters that we know of the Pacific are not always calm. The ocean has been a theater for external wars. It has been treated as a training ground or testing ground for some of the most dangerous weapons ever discovered. It is swollen because of climate change, and its rich resources are coveted by many. This is the current reality of the Blue Pacific. Fiji's Foreign Policy White Paper in 2024 assessed that Fiji's most significant security threat lies in the prospect of a wider region which is riven by division, insecurity, and instability. We decided the most significant contribution Fiji can make to a state of strategic equilibrium, to a stable balance in the broader Indo-Pacific, is to focus on the challenge of peace and security in our own Pacific neighborhood. I feel a particular responsibility as the Prime Minister of Fiji. First, of course, for the sovereignty, security, and prosperity of Fiji, but also for the contribution we can make to the region. We take that regional role very seriously. So I'm also greatly concerned about the polycrises before the Blue Pacific, which I talked about at last year's conference. The global rules-based international order is eroding. There is growing economic uncertainty throughout the world, and that is felt keenly in our geographically dispersed Pacific states. The impact of climate change, rising sea levels, increasingly severe extreme weather events, the changing ecosystems, they threaten our ways of life and our very existence in the Pacific. Illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing undermine our economic security and harms our fragile Pacific environment. And unfortunately, transnational crimes now crisscross our Pacific waters. The surge in methamphetamine trafficking and the use strains law enforcement and is fueling a growing public health crisis. Some of you have noticed that there is an allocation for an increased number of policemen and women in our forces announced in our budget. That is an indication of our concern. We also face new challenges. For example, Fiji, as a financial and administrative hub of the region, is increasingly becoming a target for cybercrime. We must be awake to the rapid acceleration of digital technologies and evolving threats. And now to the ocean of peace. I've always believed in a Pacific approach to security and a Pacific approach to stability and a Pacific approach to prosperity. We are stronger when we face our challenges together. So at the Pacific Islands Forum in Rarotonga in 2023, I proposed that regional leaders agree on a set of principles that embed peace as the cornerstone of our individual and collective policies. That is the Ocean of Peace concept. The Ocean of Peace is a shared aspiration. We all share in it. We all love it. We all want it. And it's rooted in our traditions and is guided by a collective commitment to regional cooperation and stability. It reaffirms our commitment to ensuring that our people can lead free, healthy, and productive lives. The Ocean of Peace is a significant and a very prominent signal that we seek to send out to the region and from the region, and upon which our strategic competition is managed, where stability is the touchstone of regional relationships and where coercion is eschewed. The Ocean of Peace reflects my belief that a united region is a strong region. That when we speak with one voice, our power is magnified. The Ocean of Peace also calls for us to remain committed to development, because lasting peace across our countries requires both national security and national development. Peace is not something achieved through our police or security forces alone. It also requires families and communities, societies and nations that are built on the foundations of harmony, stability, satisfaction with life, and freedom from want and fear. To achieve these Ocean of Peace principles, the Ocean of Peace concept draws on the foundational tenet of Pacific regionalism. It is our opportunity to weave the threads of our Pacific past with our vision for our Pacific future. While much work is ongoing, Fiji promotes the Pacific as the Ocean of Peace based on the following 12 principles. 1, a shared commitment to the peaceful resolution of disputes based on the Pacific Way. 2, respect for international law and norms. And we recall the United Nations General Assembly Declaration on the Rights of People to Peace that was adopted on the 12th of November, 1984. 3, rejection of coercion as a means to achieve security, economic, or political advantage. 4, the freedom to determine our own security and strategic policies. 5, upholding freedom and navigation and overflight. 6, a commitment to the non-proliferation of nuclear weapons. 7, protection of maritime environment. 8, a recognition that common challenges require common solutions. 9, respect for human rights. 10, support for regional institutions. 11, calling on external actors to champion rules of responsible, peaceful, and deconflicting behavior. And 12, bringing our people together. These principles, honorable ministers, honorable leaders, ladies and gentlemen, are based on what we all know as the Pacific Way. The Pacific Way is about these principles as a deed. They also offer an opportunity for us to set out how we expect those from outside the region to respect our approaches and participate with us. This means respect for the Pacific Way, respect for norms and the law, no coercion, protecting the environment, respect for and embrace the Pacific regionalism. And I also believe through the Ocean of Peace, there are opportunities to share the Pacific Way successes with the rest of the world. For example, Fiji pioneered the Talanoa dialogue as a new approach to climate negotiations, with the Pacific concept of Talanoa, or storytelling, supporting consensus building and decision making. It was in 1970 that the Fiji's first Prime Minister, Ratu Sir Kamisesamara, introduced the Pacific Way at the United Nations General Assembly. setting out Fiji's peaceful transition to independence. So too can the Ocean of Peace offer a platform to expand concepts central to the Pacific Way with a global audience. As we speak, officials across the Pacific are working to prepare the Ocean of Peace Declaration for when Prime Minister Tuilangi and I meet with our fellow leaders at the Pacific Islands Forum Leaders Conference in Solomon Islands in September. I know Minister Chanel and the Prime Minister Manele will host us very well in the Happy Isles. Now from principles to implementation. Esteemed participants, I address you that this is my request for you for this conference. Realizing the Ocean of Peace isn't just a job for our leaders. It is a shared endeavor involving all of us. We must work together to safeguard our Blue Pacific, our Ocean of Peace, for this generation and those to come. My hope that all together, as a Pacific family, we can agree in Honiara on the principles for the Ocean of Peace Declaration, but then work forward on all of us for its implementation. Some of the issues you might want to discuss at this conference include how can the good officers' role of the Forum Secretary General be strengthened to support peace, particularly if there is an issue that threatens the Pacific as an ocean of peace. How should the Forum member countries consult if they are worried about an issue? What does the Ocean of Peace mean for our regional architecture and for the review of the Bow Declaration Action Plan? How can our law enforcement agencies and defense forces and regional agencies and secretariats contribute to the Ocean of Peace and its discussions? How can the next generation of national security agreements reflect the Ocean of Peace? What can we all do in our countries and in our communities to promote peace? We look forward to your advice. A great voyage ahead. Esteemed delegates, Asia as the Shangri-La dialogue, but the Pacific as the Pacific region and National Security Conference. This is where we will build our mighty Ndrua or Waka for this great journey ahead. The Pacific security community is always welcome here in Fiji. We will be very pleased to have you back in Suva for your next important discussions next year. You will be made to feel very welcome, as we have always endeavored to do whenever you set foot on our shores. My best wishes to each and every one of you for a very successful conference. Enjoy the warm hospitality of Fiji, maybe a little wet. May God bless you all. God bless Fiji. God bless the Pacific. Now, whatever.